Hello everybody and welcome back. Today we are looking at the question number 21 on LeetCode, which is called merge two lists. It's an easy question and for this reason we won't work on any recursive approach and we will focus only on an iterative approach. Also, it's way easier, in my opinion, to talk your interviewer through an iterative approach. So without further ado, let's move to the board now. Cool. So the problem reads, given the hedge of two sorted linked lists, list 1 and list 2, merge the two lists in one sorted list. And the main clue is that both list 1 and list 2 are sorted lists. Oh, sorry for my sketch, I'm going to make it work now. So both lists are sorted linked lists. Cool. So let's move to the test case 1. So that's list 1 and that's list 2. And as you can see, what we need to do is at each node we need to compare the value of list 1 versus the value of list 2 and just create a new list, which is the list that we are going to return sorted. So we are here, we have the first element of the linked list 1, first element of linked list 2, etc, etc. I think it's straightforward when we see it in this way. However, there is a really interesting test case, which is where the length of the two linked lists won't be equal. So for example, if we move to the test case 2, we can see that the length of list 1 is equals 5 and the length of linked list 2 equals 3. So as you can imagine, we will do the comparison and we will hit a rabbit hole right here, and we don't know what to do because it's not the same idea like when we have two equal size linked lists. But it's so straightforward, guys. The only thing that we need to do is to check whether list 2 has any new element, and if it doesn't have, because list 1 is already sorted, what we are going to do is we are going to literally append the rest of the list 1 to the end of the returned list. I hope that's not super confusing. Let's move to the website now where I'm going to code up the solution for that problem. So firstly, what we need to do is to consider some edge cases. So the first thing that I'm going to do is to check if list 1 and list 2 are both null at the same time. And if that happens, let's say return list 1. List 1, alright. Now there is the situation where list 1 might be null. And if that happens, we return list 2. And all the way around, if list 2 equals null, then we return list 1. Sweet, Mickey Mouse stuff. So now the main idea for when we work with linked lists is to create the dummy pointer and the current pointer. The dummy pointer will be an instantiation of the list node as we see here. So that's the dummy pointer, which is equal to new list node, and I'm going to just create the empty or 0 node. So now the current pointer is going to be a pointer which will point to the dummy pointer. And that's all pretty much. What we need to do now is to create a loop where we will be able to iterate through these two linked lists. So let's say while list 1 and list 2 And here we need to do the value comparison, as I mentioned earlier, list2.val. And if the value of the A element in list1 is smaller, then the current pointer dot next, so the next node in the current pointer, is going to point in list1. And of course we need to increase the position of the list1. Else, what is going to happen, so when list1.val is greater than or equal to list2.val, the current pointer dot next is going to point to list2. And of course, again, we need to move the pointer one position to the right. Sweet. And I'm going to move the actual position of the pointer here. I'm doing that outside of the loops because that's going to happen regardless of the value of list1 and list2. And now we need to be really careful. Here we need to consider how we are going to make that append part that I described earlier work. So, for example, on this occasion, what we did, we said that if there are no more elements in list2, then what we need to do is to take that block of nodes and append it to the end of the return list. Alright, so what we need to do is, let's say, now that if list1, then current pointer dot next is equal to list1, and with that, guys, we append everything to list1, and we need to do the same, sorry about that, for list2. And in order to do that, we are going to do current pointer dot next is equal to list2. Sweet. And outside of the while loop, we just need to return the dummy pointer dot next. Cool. Let's run this code. Sweet. And if we submit that, yeah, alright, no problem with that. Cool, that's all for today, guys. If you liked that video, give that a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do that, it's free. Catch you in the next one, guys. Cheers!